Warm welcome to all of you for this webinar on the import of pharmaceutical products in the new normal into Lao PDR. My name is Ayaka. I am the Executive Director at ECCIL EuroCham Laos. I am very pleased today to introduce our speakers. So we will hear from Kun Acharapan Burakon, who is the Logistics Manager at Savan Logistics, which is the first dry port in Lao PDR. Mr. Dino Santaniello, Head of Tiliki and Gibbins Office in Laos, and Mr. George Poinquer, Senior Project and Business Development Manager at Vientiane Pharma Company. With their extensive knowledge of the Lao market and the experience on the field, there is no doubt that they will provide you with practical information as well as giving you better overview of the legal framework for the import of pharmaceutical products into Laos. I will let the speakers introduce themselves and leave the floor to Dino. I wish you all a very insightful session. And if you have any questions during the presentations, please do not hesitate to share them in the chat box. And we will have the Q&A session just after the presentations. Thank you. Dino, I leave you to take over from here.
Okay, sorry everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. So first of all, Ayaka, can you please confirm that you see my screen?
We do see your screen.
Great.
In the full mode, full screen mode.
Okay, so here we go.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So as a matter of introduction, my name is Dino Santaniello. I'm the head of Tiliki and Gibbins office in Laos for now living in Laos actually for more than 5 years already, and I've been providing legal advices in this country for that time about a large number of legal issues, actually, not just only regulatory affairs or import and export of products, but on every corporate and commercial matters, intellectual property, tax, labor, and so on. So I'm very happy actually to be with you here today to talk about import of and export of pharmaceutical product in the new normal in Laos. Specifically, we'll be speaking about import and distribution of pharmaceutical product in the country. So here is the agenda of the presentation today. As for me, first part will be having a overview of the legal and regulatory framework in Laos surrounding pharmaceutical product import and distribution thereof. Part 2, requirements for distributing in Laos. So basically it will be about legal requirements for setting up a company, a legal entity, being able to actually distribute and import those pharmaceutical products. Part 3, market authorization, where I will be very briefly talking about drug registration, medical equipment registration, but also advertisement authorization of those pharmaceutical products. And finally, part 4, practical advice surrounding the import of pharmaceutical product in Laos. Bear with me, the presentation will be rather concise. I will be speaking about up to 20 minutes top. So the information will be concise. Hopefully will provide you also with very insightful information, but I will remain available after the webinar or even days after if you want to drop me some email to ask some very specific question on the presentation. Just want to let you know I will be happy to answer those questions. Anyway, so part 1, overview of the legal and regulatory framework. So this is not all probably, but many of the decision, laws and regulation on which the law authorities rely on in order to authorize or to regulate, frame the activity of importing or distributing pharmaceutical product in Laos. By the way, the topic of today will be about drugs and very briefly medical equipment, which means that we are talking about pharmaceutical product and product generally that have the purpose of cure or treat disease, which is then different from cosmetic product, for instance, or health supplement product, and all those type of products. So here specifically, we will be talking about drugs and a little bit about medical equipment. And those regulation, those laws actually frame the legal framework in Laos. In those laws and regulation, most of them are actually drafted or have been drafted with the assistance of the Ministry of Health, which is the ministry in charge actually of those health issues or issuing the relevant regulation in this regard. But also, as you can see here, for instance, decision on wholesale and retail businesses, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, which is the authority that in part will be the supervisory authority for companies importing, distributing products in Laos. As I said, so supervising authorities in Laos. So Ministry of Health, this is the ministry in charge of those issues in Laos, issues relating to pharmaceutical product, but generally about everything which is touched upon health regulation and so on. That ministry will issue a lot of regulation time to time all year long. And specifically on the registration for pharmaceutical product, the Food and Drug Department, as we call it, the FDA in some other countries, is the actually authority that would be vetting drug registration in Laos. So if you are doing business here in Laos as an importer and distributor about pharmaceutical product, Food and Drug Department will be one of the main interlocutor you will have with the Lao authorities. Part 2, so about the requirements for setting up a legal entity to import, export, or more generally distribute pharmaceutical product in Laos. So 2 requirements. First of all, you must have a company registered with the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, meaning that you will need to be registered, and you will need to actually obtain what we call enterprise registration certificate. So basically that enterprise registration certificate is just here to say you have a legal entity duly registered with the local authorities, and your company is existing and registered with the registry of the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. But this will not be enough, because in addition to that, you will need to have also a business operating license from the Food and Drug Department. So that's the process to actually register a legal entity is rather fast in Laos, 10 working days or so. It could be longer to actually obtain the business operating license from the FDD, because there will be some additional requirements that the FDD will have to vet with you. And I just raised some of the requirements here. So if you are an individual person or a director of a import-export or distribution company handling pharmaceutical product in Laos, no record about professional misconduct or narcotic tradings, have a good health, meaning that no mental disorder issues or no addiction to narcotics. Have a good health is actually a pretty common requirement for any type of business in Laos. You must also have a warehouse meeting some legal requirement like a good wholesale practice, good storage practice also as well. So basically here the authorities, the Ministry of Health will go on site and check if the warehouse actually meet with all the requirements provided in the law. One also of the requirements is to have a Lao pharmacist with at least 5 years of experience. About this, that's the Lao market is pretty difficult in the sense that it may be not easy to actually find people with high skilled or particularly qualified at that level. Here also one of the requirements is that the Lao pharmacist must be certified by the Lao Ministry of Health. But these Lao pharmacists may be educated abroad. That's fine. For instance, a Lao national would go to Australia to become a pharmacist or to study about this, come back to Laos. As long as this Lao national will then be certified by the Lao Ministry of Health as a pharmacist, then, and as long as that person, he or she, has 5 years of experience, then he can be part of the legal entity importing, exporting, or distributing product, and your company will meet the requirement from the Food and Drug Department to have a Lao pharmacist. On the top of that, indeed, post-incorporation, import license every time we will import, export product, but also drug registration, and we will see it very quickly. One point on the right side of my slide, as you can see, there are actually restrictions on foreign investments in Laos in this respect. So depending actually on the, and these restrictions actually apply specifically for import, export, and distribution activity in Laos. So depending on the registered capital owned or registered capital actually registered in the company, a foreign investor may hold more or less share capital in the company. And as you can see, if as a foreign investor, you want to really own a company in Laos, handling import and export or distribution of pharmaceutical product, but distribution of product generally, the minimum registered capital is pretty high, because to date, there is a requirement to have about $2.1 million or more to be able to actually fully own a legal entity as a foreign shareholder 100%. Another requirement, but this one I think has been not very well implemented to date. Since 2019, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce issued the requirements to have a trading rights of foreign trader certificate, meaning that all the companies based offshore who has no legal presence in Laos, no physical presence in Laos, must be also certified by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce and have a certificate. To date, as far as we know, there was no certificate delivered, or it's very uneven. The implementation of that regulation is very uneven. So even though the regulation is here, to date, it's pretty still unsure how strictly that that requirement of a trading rights of foreign trader certificate is actually applied by the Lao authorities. But it could be that anytime soon there will be a stricter enforcement of the current regulation, and that all businesses based offshore having no legal presence in Laos or no physical presence in Laos be required to actually obtain that certificate. So, market authorization. So here again, we're talking about drug registration, meaning that we don't talk about cosmetic, we don't talk about health supplement. We are talking about drug that has a purpose to cure or treat a disease. So here I will be brief on that because George will be speaking after me, will be way more detailed, will provide you probably all the information that you're looking for. One thing is that the applicant for, in order to register a drug or a medicine in Laos, must be a local importer, local distributor, local manufacturer, duly authorized by the Food and Drug Department, meaning that if tomorrow you contact me because you want to import drug, and you would like me to register that product on your behalf and to hold the license on your behalf, this will not be possible as a legal law firm. You need to actually work with a local importer and distributor or the manufacturer itself based in Laos in order to actually be able to hold the license. So this is a question we have often. So that's why I think it's relevant to say that to you. And even as a law firm, it's pretty difficult to have any proactive action for the preparation of all the application, the dossier, because the Food and Drug Department will not authorize a legal law firm to bring the documents and to work with them in order to proceed with the registration of the pharmaceutical product. So this will be handled only by the local importer and the local distributor. Issuer, as we said, the Food and Drug Department. For the documents and all the documents, you will see briefly what George has to say to you about that, but just broadly, all the documents actually follow the ASEAN Common Technical Dossier. So if you're already used to register your drugs or register drug with any other of the ASEAN countries around here, Laos should be pretty much the same, and the required documents will not change much. For the duration of the license is 3 years, which can be renewed 90 days before the expiration. For the medical equipment registration, so it's a little bit tricky because by law it's supposed to be registered, but as a matter of fact, there is no registration process to date in Laos. So basically, whenever a local importer or distributor wants to import the medical equipment, there is just a bunch of documents to bring to the Food and Drug Department. Some of them are actually listed here. And the authorization to import the medical device or the medical equipment is rather fast. So today there is no sophisticated process in Laos, probably also due to the fact that the lack of resources to proceed with the registration and analysis or the vetting of such equipment. And to date, we just rely actually on import from on time-to-time basis. So one thing also as well is that it's not because a drug or is actually, or even the medical equipment is actually legally imported or has been duly registered with the authorities that you have the authorization to actually proceed with the advertisement of the product. Again, the authorization must be sought with the Food and Drug Department of the Ministry of Health, and the person or the legal entity able to actually request the authorization to advertise on such product are again the same: importer, distributor, or the manufacturer. Here, depending on the type of medium you want to use, the process may be slightly different, but most importantly, the duration of the authorization to advertise will be also different. So here, at least very briefly, for instance, for meetings or exhibitions, seminar, the authorization will have to be requested each time actually you carry out such a event. For e-media support, 3 months, that's the extent of the authorization. And also every time that the content of the advertisement will change, then there will be a necessity to actually ask for an extension to the Food and Drug, ask for a new permission from the Food and Drug Department. And printing like material and brochure and so on, it's advertising authorization for 1 year. On the right side, you can see some of the maybe important information in order to be able to actually advertise a pharmaceutical product in the country. Legal sanction, and I will try to be short now because I think my time is almost due. So legal sanction for the lack of drug registration, it could be quite severe actually. It starts with, for the first time, warning confiscation, second time warning confiscation plus a fine and the business, which can be actually temporarily closed for a year. And for the first time, the same type of sanction. And on top of that, the business can be just permanently closed. So barred from the registry of the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Regarding to advertisement, first time warning and minutes, meaning that the authorities just make a statement, register that statement that you've been wrong that time, please don't do it again. Second time, same thing, plus fine. Third time, same thing, plus you may be withdrawn, the importer, the distributor, or the manufacturer doing advertisement without authorization may see its business registration withdrawn. Importantly, it's also an offense according to the penal code, and depending on if the wrongful advertisement specifically bring damages to the people actually using the product advertised wrongly, there are sanctions with imprisonment or fines also as well. Practical advice. So as a law firm, as I said, at the time where actually you do prepare the dossier and bring it to the authorities of the Ministry of Health and specifically the Food and Drug Department, a law firm may not have a lot to do because the only interlocutor that the Ministry of Health will authorize will be the importer, the distributor, or the manufacturer. But nonetheless, it's very important, I think, that to be careful. So what we would usually recommend to our client willing to import and distribute, our client base offshore willing to import and distribute in the country, would be to make sure that the proper legal due diligence is actually conducted on the local operator, meaning that the local distributor, for instance, has the proper licenses, the proper warehouses, duly certified by the authorities, which can be actually pretty important for any company distributing pharmaceutical product, which may be very sensitive to handle and to take care about. So just be sure that the local distributor has the relevant licenses. Also, localization of the distribution agreement. It's very important because most of the time we have clients having offices worldwide, and they may want to use exactly the same template for any jurisdiction where they do actually export their product. But sometimes in Laos, some of the clauses would not be typically accepted in the country. So I think it's very important here that before you actually do sign the distribution agreement, you ask a legal counsel, what do they think about the clauses? Are they actually, are these clauses that we can actually implement in the country, so that you're not stuck with an agreement that actually does not defend your interest properly. Parallel import. So I think George will be speaking about this briefly also as well. So parallel import is it's not just for pharmaceutical product, but it's a real issue in Laos. It's pretty difficult to actually have a very efficient way to counter it, but there are ways. Most of the time, what we would recommend actually to our clients is just to make sure that they stick to all the requirements to distribute products in the country. And specifically now what the officer will be looking at, it's the labeling. Ministry of Industry and Commerce, but I guess the Food and Drug Department are very keen on having all the products duly labeled in the Lao language. And these actually may help you to differ from those people importing parallelly those type of product and which do not have the labeling in Lao language. And also we realize that the officer may be willing to actually try to counter any type of parallel import in the country, but they will also check with you first if you stick to the local requirement in terms of labeling. And to do so, investigation is very important also as well, to investigate how the other products which have been imported in parallel into the country, do they actually stick to the local requirements in terms of labeling, but also maybe in terms of taxes, do they pay duly their taxes whenever they import the product? That's type of information you would like to gather before maybe reporting to the authorities. And then the authorities may be okay to help you out. And just to finish, trademark registration. Laos is a first file system country, meaning that once someone file a trademark and obtain the trademark certificate, that someone will have a monopoly over it. So nobody will be able to use that trademark. So if you plan to actually import your product and distribute your product in the Lao market, it's not mandatory actually to register a trademark. But if you want to make sure that you have the monopoly over said mark, then please try to proceed your registration as much as you can so that you can start the marketing properly and so on. Actually, that would be it for me. Q&A session, I guess, is not for now. So Ayaka, I'm ready to pass the floor over to someone else.
Thank you, Dino. Thank you very much for the concise yet very comprehensive presentation. I will give now the floor to George, who will be talking more about process of registration. George, if you can start sharing your screen.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yep.
George.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your confirmation, Dino. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Puangkiel. I'm the Senior Project Business Development Manager in Yang Thong Pharma Company. I'm living in Laos for 8 years and have 8 years of experience in the Lao healthcare industry. I used to work for multinational like DKSH for 3 years in charge of pharmaceutical business and medical device business. 5 years of working for the local companies, and like Lao Medical Solution for 4 years in charge of the medical equipment business, and I just joined Yang Thong Pharma 10 months ago. Yes. Sorry. So here you can see the some import value for the whole Lao healthcare industry. You can let me check my pointer. Okay. Okay. So just Dino said, the import tax for pharmaceutical product is about 10% in Laos. Medical devices and equipment is 5% in Laos. Tax exemption for everything produced in the ASEAN region. Parallel imports, this is my personal point of view. It's about 50% of the total market. Import declaration value in 2020. The medical device and medical equipment is about 50%, and food supplement and pharmaceutical is about the other 50%. Normally, the medical equipment is about 25 to 30%. The reason why last year we have much import for medical equipment is because we import a lot of laboratory equipment to fight against COVID. Okay. Okay. This is the structure of the Lao Ministry of Health. Sorry. Okay. Mainly, as Dino said, we will deal with the Food and Drug Department in Laos. So the Ministry of Health, you can see, is compound of 2 offices and 9 departments. Regarding the drug registration process, so mainly in total, it would take 18 to 24 months to register your product in Laos. It would take 2 steps. The first step could take 3 to 6 months. So it's the first applications, the Form 1, we can take 6 months. Then after that, after the approval, you have to prepare for the Form 2 applications. And this one could take 12 to 18 months. Yes, we can have the fast track. It depends on the situation of the importance and the emergency for the drugs. Like for example, for the COVID vaccines, it took like 1 month for the approval. Yeah. After the registrations, you can you can have it for 3 years, and please note the license renewal could take 6 months at maximum. So this is the Form 1 applications, what we need to provide for the Ministry of Health. So one is the nomination letter from the manufacturer saying that which local import company will be their representative in Laos. You will have to present the GMP certifications. You will have to present the drug registration in your country, in the country of origins, the packaging, and letters saying that your product has been marketized in other country. So this step one could take 6 months. The former 2 applications. So this one is much more longer, and it could take 12 to 18 months. So for this part, you will have to present, you have to show the quality of your product. So all the drug registration, GMP, certificate of free sales, certificates of analysis, body of data, and non-clinical documents and the clinical studies. So this one, it would take much more longer because you also would have to provide the samples. So the samples has to be the same batch of the certificate of analysis that you provided, and the samples will be sent to Thailand to be analyzed. And then it's important to provide the same batch of production. Then you will get the license and market authorization for your products. As you can see here, in the drug registration certificate, you have the name of the manufacturer and the name of the importer in Laos. So, as Dino said, the market authorization can be transferred in case if you want to change the distributor in Laos. You can transfer the market authorization. These procedures can take 1 month maximum on the willing of the old distributor. Okay. Now, some key numbers from Laos. I don't know if I can share this. Okay. So Laos is a landlocked country divided in 18 provinces. So the major city in Laos is Luang Prabang, Vientiane capital, Savannakhet, and Champasak. 69% of the population is rural. Population growth is about 2.3%, which is about 200,000 newborn every year. Lao population is very, very young, as you can see. 53% of the population is under 25 years old. And what is important for the Lao African industry, life expectancy is 60 years old only. Okay. GDP per capita. GDP per capita is $2,600 with an average growth of 7% in the past 5 years. The healthcare expenditures is about 2.4% of the total GDP. The GDP is compound of the agricultures, mainly coming from the industry, from the mining and the hydropower project in Laos. Okay. Okay. Okay, what's important here to see the total health expenditure in Laos? It's about 59% per cap, 59 US dollar per capita. Okay. What is very important to understand the expenditure here. The out-of-pocket expenditure is still high, very high in Laos, 55%, as you can see. 30% will come from the Lao government and 80% from the donors. Let me check. Okay, sorry, I have some issue with my screen. What's important here to understand, the Lao government expenditure on health as percentage today is 7.4%. The target for the Lao government is to reach 9% in the near future. The Lao expenditures, Lao health expenditures, as you can see here in the figures, Laos is spending lower than the neighbor country. So only 2% when you compare Thailand or Cambodia, we are the country with spending the lowest in the region. 53% of the expenditures will go to the pharmaceutical goods, so which is about $168 million in total. Yeah. What we can improve for the Lao unique industry, first is to improve the registration process. Online product registrations could be a good improvement for the country. It will reduce the procedures. Second point, strengthen the import procedures to avoid the parallel imports. Second, to attract foreign investment, and for the Lao government, what will be important is to collect the tax. Third point, if we can improve the private health insurance, we can reduce the out-of-pocket expense for the Lao patients, and of course, it will improve the health system quality, especially for the private hospital. That's it from my side. I hope I was fast, quick, but these are some questions. Don't hesitate.
Thank you very much, George, especially for sharing some key numbers about Laos demographics and the healthcare sector. I will now give the floor to Kun On at Savan Logistics, who will give us more information about the logistics process and requirement that comes with the import of pharmaceutical products. Kun On, can you please start to share your screen? Thank you. On, I think you are still on mute. Could you please unmute yourself?
Can you see my screen?
You can see the screen, not yet in the full screen mode, and you can hear, and we can hear you.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Achalapan from Sawan Logistics, the first dive port at Lao PDR. My working experience at the actually I based in Laos for 5 years, starting the dry port operate. But because of the lockdown country of the COVID, now I work at the Thailand branch at Lam Chabang branch. Today I would like to speak about the challenge of the import medical to Laos and how we can overcome it in the practice. Because as we know now that the COVID-19 is disturb our normal life, and most countries they lock down and is aircraft, the international flight, they are stop flying. Based on the medical, mostly we are need to control like the temperature to keep the quality of the product. So we are finding the way to solve the problem that the cross-border or the lockdown country not affect to the medical import. In terms of our Sawan logistics, we are taking care for the logistics in Laos. We are looking for the opportunity to link the landlocked to unlock the land link, and we are choice the multimodal transport service for the international shipment from the pharmacy, medical, and all the equipment to Laos. Our company looking for the safety during the transport and through comply with the standard of GPP like a good distribute practice, international legal norm, and reference document when the shipping medical ship out from the origin to here to Laos. Now we will show you the logistic solution for medical product import to Laos. Since the international flight stop flying and Lao PDR is a landlocked country, we can find the solution like the import product must transit by the third country or the neighbor country. FA is the alternative because some of the medical they are need like the life cycle, they have the life of lead time. Some product can keep only 10 days, 7 days, or 5 days. Now we use we will show the cross-border tracking. That's from the original, they will use the air freight. We choose the Bangkok airport. Is nearly our Lao, both Mukdahan or Mukdahan, Sawanakhet, Nong Khai to Thailand, and Pak Se, Ubon go to Pak Se, and this cross-border truck cross at the border and go to Laos. Here is the flowchart starting from the pickup and the custom clearance at the origin, put on the aircraft, and after unload the cargo from the aircraft at the airport point, transit point, and then we do the custom clearance, transit, custom clearance entry, and delivery to destination. First step is the pick up from the shipper. The transport or the cargo will be according to of the geography of the shipment of all the product. Like when the shipper book the shipment with us, we will take a look how many temperature need to control. This is also challenge because some product need to keep 25 for -25 or the transport routing. We need to find out the best or the alternative, the packaging. And after that is also the second challenge is the control on the aircraft. The third is control while during transport from transit airport to destination. Step 2 is the custom clearance at the origin airport. This is the concern with the documentation, the export license, and or we need to ensure the cargo is not banned product. The third step is package and departure. Once the cargo cleared by the custom, the cargo will pack in the if some of the cargo they need to control the temperature, we will find out the package like a ULD that we show you and on the presentation and move to the aircraft. This packaging they can save the life of the product around 5 days, and they keep the temperature at the -25. Just for your info and sample. After finish the custom clearance, the shipment got the flight and their departure arrive at the destination. The cargo will unload from the aircraft and store it at the cool storage at the transit airport. The next step is the custom clearance at destination. At the destination for the transit custom clearance, there are the advantage that we no need to pay the duty and tax. We just do the custom clearance by use the forwarder, the custom broker or forwarder transportation that who have the bonded license. They call the transit license. Upon the shipment arrive, we proceed the custom entry. All manifest should be declared with the airline that the shipment will come to the third country and transit to Laos by truck. In this case, our company, STOWAGE Logistics, we are on the transit license. So we put our name in the notified party and do on behalf of the consignee. The next step is the custom border at Thai and Lao border. After finish the custom clearance at the transit airport, this case, I show you the shipment arrive at the Bangkok airport and go to Vientiane by Nong Khai, Thailand. Truck will arrive after the truck departure from the transit airport. The truck will normally, if the cargo is sensitive and need to control the temperature, we need the two driver. Just in case is the one of the driver they have sick or some accident, we can change the driver immediately. The second point is about the cargo value of the product. If the cargo value is higher, we use the police escort to convoy the product from transit point to border. This is just the value add and ensure the cargo will arrive smoothly. From at the currently, because the lockdown of each country, and Lao is make sure that the Thailand driver will not bring the COVID because now Thailand they are the peak of the COVID. The driver coming to Laos, they have to have the COVID-19 certificate by swab test, and the test must will have the expire 7 days, not over than 7 days to entering to Laos. This is the COVID-19 certificate. After the shipment arrived and custom clearance done at the Thai and Lao border, the next step is delivery to the consignee door. To be ensured, if the cargo is high value and sensitive about the lead time, we also use the escort. Sometimes we use the company escort. And if the cargo higher volume, we use the police escort in Lao side also. Okay, now we will talking about the documentation involved of the shipment. First is the air review. Air review issue from the origin port or origin agent. Like if shipment come from USA agent will be the one who will issue the air review. Second is the invoice and packing list. Shipment. The next is the prior transit entry. Fourth is the import permit in Laos that Mr. George already explained how to got the import permit in Laos already. Okay, this is the sample of the air review. STOWAGE Logistics is the official contractor of DHL global forwarder that they have the agent for each of the world. This shipment is shipped from Belgium and go to Vientiane by air. Notified party is our STOWAGE Logistics or any company who have the transit license. The second is the second important point is the good in transit that we need to put on the air review to show to the custom at the transit point that the shipment no need to pay the duty or tax, and no more to the custom at the transit point cannot touch or open the cargo anymore. The third is the temperature required because after the shipment arrive at the transit point, the airline or terminal warehouse, they will take a look how to treat the shipment. The second document is the invoice and packing list. Okay, this is to support document to do the custom declaration and decide, consider about the truck size. The third is prior transit entry. The fourth is the import permit to import the medical in Laos. We will talk about the challenges of the transportation to Laos, how to keep the delivery smoothly and control the product to keep the quality the same. The medical product usually they are required the reefer truck because they need to keep the temperature, and we have the truck like three sides. First is the 4-wheel reefer truck. This is the sample of our truck and dimension. The temperature control is start from from minus 25 until 25 degrees. The second is the 10-wheel reefer truck. Temperature can control the same with the 4-wheel truck. This just in case if the cargo is much more volume, we can use the container. The temperature can control from minus 25 until 25 degrees. This is show you the work, a little bit work experience.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but we are running out of time. So we can just move forward on the...
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. This is the sum of the packaging that we choose for the geographic of the medical. This is a packet that can cook the temperature stable under 25 minus degree. Okay, this is all for us. If any question or any inquiry, can send your inquiry by inbox. Ayaka. Okay, thank you. I will pass any information to Ayaka. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kun On, for all the information, as well as for bringing a vaccine into Laos. Facilities, especially the latest shipment of Pfizer vaccines here in Laos. We will go now to we'll start the Q&A session. And so that we receive some question in the chat box. So question from Tum Kam. Is there any laws or regulation applied for importer to use technology to be linked to FDD for real-time or updated drugs in Laos? By means, some drugs or medical equipment with no origins shown on labels can be checked and moved from trading trails. I believe this one would be for both you, Dino, and George. I need to decide who will start.
Yeah, so I understand it's about tracking device just to ensure the origin of the product. That's my understanding. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. Please correct me. No specific law to date in this regard. Now, I don't know if in practice, because sometimes there may be some gap between the law and the practice. Maybe George can confirm that there is no such requirement to import.
No, at this moment, yes, you're right. At this moment, there's no regulation, and I didn't hear something about this, and I think it's not moving in this direction yet. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we received prior to the session a question about any update on new import regulation for the sector. This one would be.
I can see someone is asking to be on mute for a question.
For the new regulation, right? Can you repeat, please, Ayaka, and then we'll go to Jan.
The question was: are there any new import regulations for the sector?
No, I mean no. But again, I mean, other than if we talk like broadly, there was a bunch of new series of regulation for importing during the COVID-19 outbreak, but there was no like dramatic changes in the regulatory framework or the laws. Maybe again, George or Kun On could actually confirm how was maybe the importation during the COVID-19 also as well. But as far as I know, no main new regulation in this regard recently.
And George, do you have any comments to add on this or updates to share?
Oh, just only regarding about the vaccine, right? For the moment, I think there's some new ways from the Lao government saying that the companies can purchase the vaccine directly, but they will be only with the Ministry of Health. Right? They cannot purchase directly with any private company or even importer in Laos.
Yes, so despite the announcement done, yes, please.
Sorry, if I may, at the very beginning of the month, there was an announcement from the Lao government saying that indeed private companies could soon import vaccines to inoculate their employees. But as of today, it's still on the table of the Ministry of Health. So there is no guidance, regulation guidance to explain how private companies could actually request a purchase of vaccine to even for non-commercial use. So we expected that at the beginning of June that today we would be able to share maybe more insight in this regard, but unfortunately it's still on talk.
Yes, correct. that was the comment I wanted to bring. So thank you, Dino. Jan, you can unmute yourself for your question, please.
Perfect. Thank you. First of all, big thank you for all the presentations. Yeah, really appreciate all the perspectives and the great answers. So thank you to all the presenters. I think I have two questions. One question with a few sub questions, and then a sort of more general question. The first one is about the parallel imports, right? Where we're seeing quite significant from your presentation, George, right? In terms of 50% is effectively parallel imports. So the two questions I have here is, one, is that mainly parallel imports or is it counterfeits? Is question number one. And then the second question is more around the trend. So have you, in your view, is there a decline or an increase in particular during this COVID period in terms of the parallel imports? Has that been going up or has it been going down? Now we saw from the last presentation around the complications about getting products into Laos, right? You have to sort of find new ways of achieving that. So I'm wondering whether that is facilitating parallel imports or whether it's becoming more difficult for parallel imports. So that's the questions on parallel imports. And then the final question is around labeling. Is my understanding correct that you need to have the Laos label put on the products before arrival to Laos, or could it be done in country? Thank you.
Okay, Jan, thanks for the question. It's very relevant regarding the parallel import, right? Okay. Regarding the trend for the parallel import during the COVID situation, yes, it increased. It's increasing. The reason why, because the Lao government during the COVID situations, they open for all medicines, medical equipment import during that time, because Laos need it. There's some medicine that we don't have in Laos at this moment. As you know, 95% of the Lao market is only generic medicines. Yeah. So for the treatment against COVID, yes, we can find some parallel import for the original medicines, and yes, it's increasing. Yeah. Please remind me your question about the labeling, please.
So the question around labeling was whether or not it's required to have the Laos label on prior to arrival in country, or whether it can be done once it has arrived in Laos. Yeah.
Thanks for the question again. Regarding the labeling, we don't have to have the sticker before arriving in Laos. You have to find a company in Laos who can do the labeling, right? The labeling services. Yeah. Of course, it has to be compliant with the artwork that you provide to the FDD. This is very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Jan, do you have any further question?
Maybe if I may, just one quick one, right? So am I therefore also understanding correct that the part of the parallel imports that are taking place are mainly on generics, or is it mainly on MNC products?
Oh, okay, thanks. Yes, I forgot to reply to this question, right? Parallel import mainly regarding the counterfeit is a very small portion of the parallel import. Okay. Yes, the most of the parallel import is coming from the generic drug and also from the MNC's medicines. To be honest, Jan, I said 50% is very is low. To be honest, it's much more than this. Yeah, and I can tell you how will be the contribution, the proportion, but it's much more higher.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. We have another question coming from the chat box from Tumkram, asking if can individual doctor working in one hospital import drugs or medical equipments using directly at hospitals? And second question would be, what about the new cost logistic incurred during COVID-19? First question, I believe that it will go to you, George, and second one to Kun On.
Yes, okay. Doctor working in hospital cannot import, they cannot import medicine in Laos, but it happens, and it creates the parallel imports. Okay, legally they are not able to import any medicines in Laos. They have to purchase into the pharmacies, wholesalers, or distributor in Laos. This is compulsory.
Thank you, George. Kun On, could you take over for the second question, please? On the logistics cost. Kun On, I think you are still on mute. Could you please unmute yourself?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. About the logistic cost is depend on the cargo volume and about the and from the origin port. You can send me more about the pickup address, and I will check for you about the actual cost. How many of the cargo weight something.
Thank you, Kun On. Tung Kham, is it fine for you, or would you like to have any further question?
Because we have also have two types of the transportation. We have also have the LCL shipment for the LCL truck for the small cargo. It's about 20 baht per kg, but in case of the cargo is use the liver truck or the big truck, the logistic will be changed. Let me have more detail, then I can answer you exactly.
Thank you, Hun On. We have questions from Thai Sanction. Why did it happen to Laos? What did it happen in Laos? How to secure the quality healthcare system if there is going on?
Probably it's a question for me, I think. Okay, how to secure the quality healthcare system? This is very question. It's very large. Okay, how to secure? I think I don't. Probably if you can, probably later I can share my slide once again. Let me check if I can. No, I cannot share my slide. Okay. From the Lao government budget, 16% of the expense goes to the health worker. If you want to secure the quality healthcare system in Laos, we need to skill up the manpower in Laos. This is my first priority. Second, we need to improve the facilities. Okay, but when we say the facilities is to increase the capacity of the hospital in Laos, but in that case we need the manpower, the quality manpower to work into this hospital. I think I don't know if I replied to your question, Mr. Thai.
All right. Dear Orfa, I mean we are over time now, so I would like to wrap up if possible. So, Mr. Thai, I don't know if you need further information from George. In case, again, the speakers remain available for any further question that you might have. So either today or later on. We will make the presentations public. We will be able to share them with you. I would like to thank you, especially first the speakers for taking time to and putting a lot of work to providing with a very comprehensive and thorough information. And also thank you to all the participants for joining us on this session. We all remain available, so either TDK and Gibbons, Savan Logistics, and Vietnam Pharma, but as well EuroCham. We will send you an email afterwards this meeting to send you the presentation and give us all the contacts so you can still reach out to us after this session. Thank you very much all. Wishing you a good afternoon. Take good care of yourself. Stay safe, sorry, and cautious. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
All right, it's just us now. How did you find it? Are you fine? Thank you again, guys.
Wow, for me, I was totally confused. I had some issue with my presentation. Okay, sorry for that. I had some, I think I have some delay. With
maybe it freeze, you mean?
Yes, yeah. Yes. My presentation freeze a bit. I don't know what happened at that time.
Piece of advice for next time, maybe you can turn off the video, because for me, I know that it happens very often. Last time I was at the regional meeting, I was speaking, and my slide never never followed. So the alternative could be to turn off the camera, so at least you can kind of gain a bit more of bandwidth. But I think there is no ideal solution. I know that at this time of the day, for us at the office, internet is really unstable.
Yeah.
But in terms of sound, you never freeze, or I mean, we heard you very well.
Yeah. I don't know, but it never happens during a conference call. But I was a bit surprised, and I don't know if everyone can understand very well what my presentation.
No. Actually, we did understand everything. I mean, for the sound, it was very clear. Even the video, actually. So if there was something, it was maybe on your side, but from our side, I don't know for Kun On, but I guess everything was okay.
I haven't noticed, anything like.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Question. What are your feedbacks on the question that they asked?
Oh, it was a good question, actually. I mean, sometimes it was very broad, like, how do you make healthcare system better? I mean, yeah. Do you have a week?
No, but at least it's good that we had some questions, because sometimes, we are having some sessions and people are really shy. And so, when you ask if there are any questions, you are like, a question? Okay, thank you. Bye.
That was good.
So at least we had few ones. So you are all fine for sharing your presentations?
Yeah, I can send you an updated presentation. I think I did a
good work also on the setup. The slide was looking good, I know that. On the slide, I know that you designed it and everything. So, and Kun On, thank you very much. I'm very sorry I had to interrupt you, but we were a bit late on schedule, so that's why I interrupt you. But I didn't want to be impolite. All right, guys. So also, are you fine with us sharing your contact details? So would you like us to share instead maybe the general email address instead?
No, you can share it. I think it's good for you to consolidate all the question, and I think it's good for European Chamber of Commerce to have all the question, combine it, and you can send it to us later.
Yes, sure. All right, we'll do so, and You mean what? You mean that you want us to share only your email address so all the questions come to us?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. This is what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again, guys. Take good care wherever you are. I know where everybody is, but take good care of you. Have a good weekend, and we'll keep in touch for question if we have
Okay.
if we have more, if we receive more. But again, thank you very much.